There are only 352 days until Christmas. Just a thought, eh? On the occasion of my 65th birthday, my thoughts go back and back into the past. Not forgetting, of course, that life begins at 65. At least I'm sure going to give it a good try. My life began 65 years ago in the normal way, in the front room of the house in Bolton, Lancashire, on the outskirts of the city, a few miles from the Atlantic Ocean and about 30 miles from the North Sea. So I think my first recollections must be the sound of the sea, the steady, never-ending roar of the vast oceans. And now, as my life goes into its older phase, I'm almost at the Pacific Ocean, and it's a long, long way from where I began. My early recollections are of vast moorlands inland, with heather growing and waving in the wind for miles, rolling hills, and mountains bicycle rides to the ocean, fishing off docks and piers for halibut, and sole-catching crabs, shrimp mussels, making a driftwood fire, cooking our catches fresh from the ocean just to boil it. You shall have all your troubles too. You didn't always do the right thing at the right time, but you will get through all right. So as they say in Scotland, the Greek is no true, which means everything will be all right. School is very hard in England in those days. Many tears and a sore bottom, but it goes by and you're a better man for it. The holidays were spent at the ocean, sometimes at the Isle of Man, a little wee island in the middle of the Irish Sea. It was a wonderful vacation spot. That is where the Manx cats come from. They have no tails. Sean, always remember that your folks, your mother and your dad, your aunts and uncles, your grandparents, they are all trying to help you. You have a wonderful life ahead of you, I'm sure. Much better than I had, because you have everything to start with. My hang-up was always that I wanted to know what was on the other side of the hills, what was on the other side of the ocean. So you see, that made me different from my friends, which isn't really very practical because I passed up many opportunities for good study jobs because of my itchy feet. I couldn't stay, I had to go. My parents must have seen it my way because they let me go long before I was of age. Going back to the bicycle trips in England, I always liked to go a little further than the other guy, so my parents would take me along about 5 a.m. in the morning. I recall one instance that has stayed in my mind all these years. My dad made breakfast that morning for my friends and me. Of course, it was always tea to drink, and the tea he made was so weak you could hardly see it in the cup. He said, "That will warm the cockles of your heart, my lad, and keep you going." And boy, it did. I put in over 100 miles, really believing that whole tea was keeping me going. When it came time for me to really go, I had to go. I said goodbye to my parents and friends and left for Canada. I saw them once since that time. My mother died first. I really thought that the end was for me. My father died later during the war. He died a lonely old man, sitting in his chair by the fireplace. The fireplace I remember so well. My deep regret is that things could have been different in regard to that. But life goes on. Now let's travel before this becomes boring. My life in Canada. You all know for about 15 years I just roamed the country from coast to coast. Now, when I think of it, I actually saw this part of the world from a window, mostly from a train window. It was always a stranger in the city or town. Just think about it. I have often thought about it. You look at a new place. First time you ever saw this town or city, you look at it through a window. You see the people moving around in your own mind. You get to know them from afar. You live your life in theirs through a window. For instance, there was a little town called Deepdale, and that place all figured out before I stepped outside. There I met my wife. What a break. Mildred, I knew you would say that, but now I have my wife Mildred, my sons Brian and Kerry, and my daughter Liane. I lost one daughter, Lenore, at the age of 10 months. I only saw her for about 2 weeks on account of the war. What do you know? I remember all their names. I also have my daughter-in-law, Gail and Diane, and my grandson, Sean. As in all families, we all have our ups and downs, but I thank God for a good family. We stayed together, we helped each other. What more could a guy expect? We are all obedient. They just jump when I speak. Oh no, did I really say that too? Now back to earlier days and across oceans again. I became a bellboy at 15 on the Empress of Russia. From Vancouver to Hawaii to the Fiji Islands, New Zealand and Australia, and then back to Canada. A terrific experience for a young man. I recall the high seas storms, the gentle tropical seas, magnificent sights. But strangely enough, I know nothing of these lands. As a member of the crew, I never got past the docks. From here, I graduated to the real world and left for 11 years on wheels. And except for one time, we went north as far as 22 miles from Churchill. The track wasn't complete, so we made the rest of the trip by dog team. I was one of the first visitors and stayed there all winter in the tent, 50 or 60 below every day. Personally, knew some Eskimo families while there is no experience. I returned there next year, but by then it was civilized. The train trip to the fall was a week long. The train would stop to pick blueberries or fish. On this trip, the Bishop of Keewatin and I were the only white travellers, so we had many a long talk, but that's another story. Then I made 2 trips to England, then came the war, and of course I was away again. After some years near Portage-la Prairie and the RCAF, I arrived in England and went through air raids and many grim experiences which are best forgotten. I once went to visit your Uncle George and aunt in London. George was stationed there. I got off the underground train and the bombs were falling, and I walked up the hill towards the grocery store. The window had just been blown out, and the office from the window display were rolling down the hill past me. Nice red apples, gunpowder, quite a mixture, I'll never forget it. And when she returned to Canada and built a grocery store, which one day burned down, then I became the postmaster in Deepdale. Then, still with itchy feet, moved to Flin Flon, where I stayed for 18 years. Then after I first became sick, moved to Kelowna, where of course I'm one of the leading lights of the community, except occasionally the lights go out. But seriously, this birthday has shown me that it is worthwhile to try to bring up your family as well as you possibly can, because your thoughts today have entered my heart and I will never forget her. One more little thought, dear people. After doing my arithmetic, I find there are, believe it or not, only 3 to 4 shopping days to Christmas.